Hey everyone, it's Ali from Team 1353V. I've seen this question asked a few times, so I wanted to make a quick video to answer it. That question is, how do you color parts in Fusion 360? So the first thing to know is that colors or appearances are managed in the appearance section in Fusion. You can access that by pressing A on your keyboard, or you can press S and type in appearance. The next thing that you want to know is generally, if you want to change the appearance of any imported part or component, you want to break the link of whichever part you're trying to modify. So you can see that if I try to take this appearance and I try to drag it in, it says it won't let me do that because it can't be removed from the original reference because this component here is just a reference to the original file. So what we do is we can right click on the piece, we can press break link over here, and you can see that it works because one, we have a calculation down here, and also the little chain link is no longer there. After you've broken the link on whatever component you want to modify, the process is pretty simple. You can take any appearance from the appearance section and drag it over in the work plane. So to modify your colors, I would advise you go to the default appearance that shows up in the appearance menu when you break the link. So depending on how many components you've already broken the link for or how many colors you're using, it can be pretty tricky or can be pretty easy. So in this case, when I hover over all these colors, I can see that this is called aluminum-satin. And if you're using the cChannels from the Vex Fusion 360 library, this is what all the cChannels use for their textures. So what we can do is we can hold right click, press edit, and now we can see that there's a color gradient box that comes up. For the purposes of this video, let's make this cChannel green. So I'm gonna slide it. You can slide it to any color you want in the top bar, and then you can get any gradient you like. We'll make it a pretty nice dark green. Yeah, and there we go. We have a green cChannel. It's colored. If you want, you can drag other colors onto it, and it'll always save the color that you modify. If you want to bring in additional cChannel later and you want to break those components, then they will again create new aluminum satin default variants, but that's okay. So from here, we're done. But if you're thinking of making your renders better or just trying to improve your textures in general, something that I like to do with my cChannels is to increase the roughness of the cChannel. And so now you can see on the screen that the finish of Vex aluminum is pretty rough. It's not very lustrous, and so for renders, that means that we want something that isn't as reflective or shiny. So for in the library, the default texture is pretty reflective. It's not the best for renders. It doesn't look that great. But what we can do against this is we can, once again, come to the appearance menu, right-click the texture, and we can take this bottom slider called roughness and we can increase it. So when we increase it, you can see that on the left, I'm going to show a picture before, and on the right, I'll show a picture after. And you can see the differences. Yeah. And this process works for basically like every other piece you can think of. We can do the same thing with a standoff. I'm going to break the link. Let's say I want to make this standoff green as well. I can take the original green file and I can just bring it here. Although I really wouldn't advise against it too much because generally, if your cChannel textures are more rough, the standoffs in Vex are pretty smooth. They're pretty lustrous, so I would modify this instead to let's say with blue this time, right? And the same thing goes for spacers. If you want, you can make this. Let's say we make this a little red. You can go here, make it pretty red or pink, whatever you like. So that works for all of that. The one last thing I wanted to include is what if you make your own components? So let's say you have like some polycarb or anything like that you made yourself. In this case, I just made a box, but that can apply to any sketch that you make in Extrude. So you don't have to break the component on these because there is no reference to any other part file whatever library you have. It's just something that's in the project itself, so you don't have to break the link. Um, in the actual Fusion 360 appearances, you can go through all of these if you want, but generally there is a polycarb texture that's found within the transparent folder of the plastics, and you can just take this and you can modify it to wherever you want. And that's basically it for coloring your stuff in Fusion 360. It's really easy. I hope this answers every question that you have.